Hello my beautiful buds, welcome back to my channel Sprouts with Joy. My name is Joy, and if you'd like to talk about plants, you're in the right place. And okay, if I'm being completely honest, I have been keeping my plants like in maintenance mode. I mean, they're all alive. I've been watering them. I've been kind of fertilizing them. I've been turning on my grow lights, but like, yeah, I've just been doing the bare minimum to keep them alive, you know, but not necessarily thriving. And a large part of that is that this summer I've just been super busy and I just haven't had big chunks of time to set aside to do plant projects. But right now I have about an hour. So I would love to pick out a few of the plant tasks that I have been putting off and just get it done, even if it's just like one or two, because honestly I think I need to take a more bite-sized approach to my plant chores. And I will also readily admit that I feel like I've said this in multiple videos, so I'm sorry I haven't continued doing it, but I really feel like I need to catch up, and I cannot set aside an entire day to catch up on all of my plant chores at once, which would be much more efficient. But my goal, it's going to be a small goal. I'm just going to do 2 or 3 tasks. That's it. And we're just going to do it. Okay. So let's walk around and figure out what I'm going to do, because I honestly have no idea. Okay. Looking over here, there are so many things I could do. Honestly, like moss pole maintenance on any of these moss poles, like this Atabapoense could use an extension. I really need to chop up this entire Philodendron Gigas and start it over. I also have some Philodendron verrucosum propagations that are ready to be potted up, and I had chopped it up before and I kept this pole, but honestly I'm kind of ready to disassemble this pole and just start it completely from scratch now that the propagations are ready to go. This pot is disgusting and full of algae and I need to clean it. This Philodendron splendid needs to be potted up. It's ready to go. I have a whole ton of things in my cabinet that could be done, including potting things up, repotting things, dealing with my variegated Monstera adansonii, because like, what is this where the bottom is so barren? I did add Keiki paste to it, but I don't know if I did it correctly because I think a growth point started, but it never actually followed through. So if you have any advice regarding Keiki paste and what to do with it, do let me know. I also think I want to take my velvet halomycans off of the moss pole and just make it trailing, because yeah, this is a plant that could easily be trailing and be really cute, and I don't need it to be on a moss pole. And do I just need to buy a new Begonia maculata whitei? Maybe, because this one is looking rough. Moving along to a different room, I need to figure out what I'm going to do with my Philodendron mamei, because yeah, it's in 2 separate pots and looking rough. Oh my goodness. I look at this and all I see are things that need to happen. I need to pot up this Philodendron painted lady propagation and disassemble this one. I need to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with this variegated epipremnum. Okay, I'm gonna stop before I get myself overwhelmed, because as you can see, there's many things to be done. Okay, I think I'm gonna start with my Philodendron mamei, because that's one of my favorite plants ever, and even though I am extremely nervous to screw it up somehow, I just want to see it thrive again. I'm desperately, okay. Yeah, let's go downstairs and repot my Philodendron mamei, or like consolidate it, or whatever needs to happen. I don't even know. Okay, first things first, I'm just gonna try to see like what the root system looks like. I don't even know what I'm working with. If you don't know the history of this plant, this used to be one of my like most beautiful plants in my collection, and I eventually needed to chop it up because, you know, naturally it was kind of going off the pot. So like I chopped it up and it was fine. It was doing really well and smaller than it used to be, but like fine. I actually even gave away one of the plants that I had kind of made, because I like divided it into like 3 parts, hence why I have these 2 separate plants, right? But yeah, both of these wound up with thrips, and so they declined immensely and they haven't been the same since. So now I just want to get it back to what it used to be, and I just feel like I have like 2 awkward, wimpy looking plants. I mean, they're still pretty, don't get me wrong, but like it's just nothing compared to what it used to be. So yeah, it's really sad. But okay, just so that you can see what we're working with, I have a really long stem here, and I'm trying to decide if I want to chop it up or if I want to try to use Keiki paste to like encourage growth on these growth points. I have no idea the best move is going to be. I guess let's find out what we're working with. And if anything, maybe some fresh soil will do it some good. I don't know. I mean, it definitely has a like decently robust root system, which is good. Oh, okay. Well, that's fun. It looks like there is kind of like new growth happening right here, which is awesome. Although I feel like if I were to chop it right here, it might kind of encourage it to continue going. So I think I might do that. Just, you know, see what happens. And there is like another like new growth point kind of tempted to emerge right here. So like that's cool and good, but I do feel like chopping it somehow like encourages that to actually activate. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's usually what happens is when you chop it, it then kind of activates a little bit more. So we'll see. I'm also gonna like peel away. Oh my goodness. Okay. Hello. There's more like growth points over here that honestly, like there's so much potential, but they're just like not fully activating, and I don't know how to get them to do that. I don't know. But it looks like there's decent roots here. I don't know. I think I want to chop this up a little bit because that way I have like a few more chances, a few more like separate nodes and plants that might do something. And I'm just getting kind of sick of having like this really long empty stem taking up so much space in the pot. And especially if I want to pot this together with the other mamei, I think that might be the move. So let's try it. I'm not always good about it, but do try to sterilize your shears before cutting into the plant tissue. That's my recommendation. Okay, let's chop here. And so now I have this extra node. And then, I don't know, I want to chop where there's like already roots and stuff. How about this? Let's chop right here. Oh no. There we go. Oh my goodness, that's so much root for this one node. I'm halfway tempted to like trim some of it away just to give it some fresh roots, I guess, but it's probably fine. See, there's two different growth points that can happen right here. So that's cool. Okay, and then I think I will keep the rest of it all together because that way I like the idea of this big root system still providing energy to the rest of this plant. And there are these growth points already. I wonder if adding Keiki paste would help. I think it might, so I might do that. I don't know. I haven't used it very often. I've only used it once. So I wonder if I should do it now or after I pot it up. I feel like it'll be easier to do it now. So I don't know. It probably won't hurt to just do it now. I could be completely wrong, and maybe it's like a horrible thing to use Keiki paste while like just before you repot a plant. So if I do, if I'm making a grave mistake, I apologize, but I'm just doing my best. Okay, so right here, it does say to like kind of scrape away any of the excess stuff around it. And there's also like bract, I think is what it's called. There's like a thin tissue. I'm kind of scraping that away a little bit too. I mean, there's lots of potential growth points, it looks like. I wish I had a better scraper. This just came with the Keiki paste, but we're gonna see what happens. I don't know. Okay, I think I got most of it. Now I'm going to apply the paste. I don't even know like how much you need. So I'm just gonna be generous and see if that works, you know? Okay. I don't really know how it works. Maybe I should do more research on it, but okay, I'm gonna set this aside for a few minutes because now we gotta look at this other philodendron mamei that I have. I think I'm also just gonna uproot this and see what we're working with very gently. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna peel away all of the dead matter, like these old petioles and stuff. Try to get us a fresh start. And I guess I may as well use Keiki paste on these growth points too, because this also has a pretty long stem. Ooh, there's even some like new roots growing right here. That's so good. All right, I'm doing the scraping thing again. Okay. Well, here's what we've got. These two, and let's see if we can pot them together. I'm gonna go ahead and consolidate because I think I just want fresh soil. Because this soil technically, I mean, I treated these plants, they no longer have thrips, but I never did completely like change out the soil and repot them. And I just feel better about having new soil for this. Here we go. Time to start a new era for my mamei. It's very exciting. I've been so nervous and putting this off because I love this plant so much that I've just been like afraid to mess with it too much. But no more fear. We're just gonna do it. I think I do want them to be growing in the same direction, probably. I don't know, I've never put two mamei in a single pot before. I guess I could have them growing opposite directions, but that might be like a little bit difficult to fit somewhere. I don't know. I'm trying to imagine what that would be like. Would that be better? Or would that be too crazy? I really don't know. My instinct tells me, even though like it initially would look cooler to have the mamei going separate directions, in the long run, I do think it'll be like way too crazy, probably, because the place where I put it, like they won't get light evenly. I don't know. Oh, it's so tough to know. I guess let's do it this way and see what happens. And if I regret it, I can always change it, even though I'd rather do it correctly the first time. Okay, and there you have it. I have consolidated my mameis. Hopefully they grow well. I don't know. I really don't know, but I also am gonna put these two chunks, I guess. I guess I could just put them in moss. So let me set those aside. I will deal with that later. First, I'm gonna water this in, and then let's figure out like my next task that I wanna do. I'm gonna go look at my options. Okay, I just went down to the basement, and that's where I store like all of my plant stuff, and I found this perfect little container for these wet sticks. Look at this. It's just a little takeout container that I must have washed out and saved. So this is your reminder. If you get takeout like relatively often, or even if you don't, I don't know. If you get little containers like this is like perfect for wet sticks and propagations and that sort of thing. So save them. They will come in handy eventually. I also have my moss here. I'm going to dampen it because this is very dry sphagnum moss. Okay, so it's very simple if you've never done like wet sticks before. I mean, technically these aren't really wet sticks because they do have full root systems already, basically, because this is a crawling philodendron. So I don't know if it's technically a wet stick because normally they don't have like any roots at all. But they don't have leaves. They're leafless nodes with the potential to give us some new growth, maybe. So that's just what I wanna see. I wanna see if it's gonna give us some new growth here. And honestly, I'm so tempted to like cut away some of these roots just to give it a fresh chance because I don't know, it's kind of a lot of roots to fit in here. And sometimes like fresh roots, okay, I think I will just experiment with cutting away the roots on this one because why not? Because these roots just feel really old to me. I'm sure they still function, but I don't know. I just want to see what happens if I start it over. Because yeah, we have one that has a complete root system and then one without really a complete root system now. I don't know, that was a little bit impulsive, but sometimes I like to just try things, especially if I have multiple chances to get it right or wrong. At the end of the day, they're just plants and it's fun to experiment with them. Okay, so there we go. It will be nice and humid. I'll put this in indirect light and see what happens. All right, it's now time for the task that I've been putting off for months now, and that is figuring out what to do with my Philodendron Gigas because it's grown off the pole completely because yeah, it was too tall. Like I wasn't gonna add another extension, so I don't know, I was just procrastinating the inevitable, to be honest, because I just wanted it to stay the same size. It's got some big, beautiful leaves, and I don't know, I didn't have the heart to chop it up, but I think it's time. It's time to chop it up and start it over from one of those cuttings, and then I'll have a ton of Philodendron Gigas cuttings that I'll have to figure out what to do with once they root up and everything. I don't know, I'll probably just give them away to friends or something. But really quickly, before I do this, I do want to bring the camera over. Also, it's like so imbalanced, so I'm afraid it's gonna fall. I wanna bring the camera over and just look at each of the leaves and what we're working with, because man, I love this plant so much. Okay, so the bottom, obviously the leaves are looking a little bit rough on the bottom, but they sized up so nicely to the point where, okay, look at this. This was kind of where it peaked. Like, I think this might be the nicest leaf. Yeah, beautiful, so beautiful. Literally, it's up by my chandelier now. And then of course, yeah, like towards the end, it was growing off of the pole, and it's a little bit scraggly up there because it lost the support that it had before. But yes, my goal right now will be to chop it up completely, take it off the pole, just disassemble everything. I'm not going to keep every single cutting, I don't think, because that's gonna be so much. There's so many leaves. Let's see what happens, I don't know. I'm just gonna disassemble it all and let's begin. I have a hard time doing this. I have such a hard time doing this. Oh my goodness. All right, let's look at that root system. Hang on, I wanna give you guys a close look. Look at that. Okay, it looks like the roots totally concentrated on the bottom, which is so interesting. Look at that. So yeah, very well rooted on the bottom here. And this plant, I think, has been like on this pole for years now, probably. I don't know. I've had this plant since it was so tiny. It was a tiny, tiny baby plant. So this is kind of crazy, and hopefully this plant doesn't get completely traumatized by this process, but it's fine. It has to be done. I will say, like, this might be kind of like one of my least favorite parts of taking care of plants is, you know, it peaks and the plant gets to a beautiful spot for such a short period of time before you have to like disassemble the whole thing and start over again, because, you know, my ceilings are only so tall. I can only handle poles that are so large. There's a limit to how much they can grow. I know that there's like a method where you chop and extend, but I didn't maintain this pole well enough to do that. So I think I just want to start it over, and maybe one of these days I will actually chop and extend successfully, but I've never really done that. Because maintaining moss poles are kind of my weakness. I like how they look. I like how they make plants grow really well, but yeah, it's not easy. Look at this massive pile of plant Velcro. Obviously, I'm not gonna throw this away. I will reuse it, because that's the nice part about plant Velcro. You can use it over and over again. And yeah, let's see. None of this part of the plant rooted into the pole, but it looks like we got some roots lower down. You know, when I was better at maintaining it, it's gonna be easier to start from the top since these aren't rooted into the pole. Okay. I feel like filming this is so awkward because it's such a big plant. But I guess we're just gonna start from the top and go down. First cut, that's the top cut. This leaf does look really ratty, so I'm gonna put it in like the maybe section. Okay, this one actually, it's kind of small-ish, but it's really pretty. Oh my gosh, Gigas is so beautiful. These are some of the best leaves on the plant. I just had a random thought. I just saw my tattoo in the viewfinder, which, yes, I got a few comments being like, wait, you got a tattoo? Yes, I did get a tattoo back in November, but I've been wearing a lot of long sleeves, so I guess like it just hasn't been featured all that often. But I just had a random thought. Like, I would maybe get a tattoo of a Philodendron Gigas because I really love the way that it looks. But I don't know, there's lots of different plants that I would consider getting a tattoo of. This little leaf happened after I had taken a top cut for a friend, but then it, you know, kind of continued on growing as normal. But anyway, as I was saying, I just had the thought, okay, well, what other plants would I potentially get a tattoo of? I don't know, my first thought would be like a Monstera adansonii, I think would make a super cool tattoo. Or I don't know, maybe some Hoya or something. Hang on, scratch that. I would totally get a tattoo of like a prayer plant, you know, like a Maranta. Oh my gosh, I would love a tattoo of a Maranta, or yeah, Hoya polynera I think would make a great tattoo. Anyway, my question to you is, do you have any planty tattoos, or would you get a planty tattoo? Or if you theoretically were to get a planty tattoo, like which plant would you pick? And is it a plant that you just think looks cool and would make a cool looking tattoo, or is it a plant that you really love, like your favorite plant? I don't know. Let me know. I'm curious. A philodendron mamei could also make a really good tattoo. That's another thought. So yeah, I'm curious. Let me know. Okay, we're nearing the bottom now, which is honestly crazy. Okay. It looks like this single node has a bunch of roots, which is hilarious to me. I'm sure these roots are like far gone now because I let this pole dry out a lot, so I am gonna trim it. But it's funny, it's like this one single node decided to root up a ton. So here, let's take a look at it. I don't know, maybe they're alive, maybe they're fine. I think they actually are alive, which is kind of crazy. Okay, well, I guess this already has some roots on it, which is nice. And the rest of this moss I am going to try to set aside, and I'll boil it later so that we can reuse it. And then let me get like a container for this moss. All right, I have little containers, and I'm just gonna put all the moss in here because it's kind of old, stinky moss, and it's got lots of algae. But if I put it here and then boil it, I don't know, maybe I can reuse it. Moss is pretty expensive, so I try to reuse it a couple of times just to like get the most out of it, you know? Now let's kind of disassemble this pole. I don't think I want to keep it with all the extensions intact, or maybe I do. I don't know, maybe I'll keep it as is for now, but I will detach this one right here. And then I got this whole bottom of the plant here. I have no idea if anything's gonna come of it, but who knows? So I'll just keep it for now. Sometimes it's fun to see what happens with the bottom part of the plant. I did not leave any leaves, so I doubt anything is gonna come of it, but I don't know, who knows? I'm gonna be a little bit haphazard because I don't care that much about the bottom, but you know, I'll just stick it somewhere, and if something happens, great. But if not, that's fine too. No pressure. Okay, for the next step, it's just the propagation step, I guess. I'm gonna try to fit as many cuttings as I can into this prop box because I don't have the mental energy to keep track of like 15 different little pots or however many it ends up being. So let's just do one full little prop box. And I already have this one on hand, so I'm gonna start off with a layer of sphagnum moss. And hopefully I can fit quite a few in here. I mean, the leaves are really big, so it's probably not gonna be as much as I would like in this one container, but we're gonna just start with this and see what happens. Prop boxes used to be my choice of propagation. They're really, really fun. I will say it does get a little bit annoying when all of the like roots tangle together, but in this circumstance, I think it'll come in handy. It's just nice to not have to think about multiple different separate containers. These were all the leaves that I selected that I thought were really, really pretty and big and beautiful. Not that it matters that much when you're starting a plant from scratch, but I don't know, I like starting with a really nice leaf if I can. Like, look at these, they're so pretty. I'm just gonna like tuck these in, kind of like I'm putting them to bed, making sure these nodes right here are covered by the moss just a little bit. And it's okay if they like overlap, like the leaves. I don't think that's gonna be a big deal. Just to give you a better look. This one's a smaller one, maybe I can put it in. Okay, there's more fitting here than I expected, but I think it helps that Philodendron gigas, the leaves kind of naturally lay flat. You know, they don't have extremely long petioles or anything, which is super nice. It's a big space saver. And I guess this one can go this way. So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the really nice cuttings. I feel like that's pretty good odds. And then I'll just cover it up. And ta-da! And then right here I have the top cut, and I have one from towards the bottom, but it had a lot of roots already. So I think I'm gonna put both of these into one cup. And we're gonna see what happens. I don't know. So there's that. And then, okay. This was a really big pile of kind of the reject leaves, you know, like this one's not terrible, but it's also not as nice as some of the other ones that I have. But a lot of these leaves just have blemishes. They have yellowing, they might be smaller, they might have holes. So what I think I might do, because I don't really have the heart to just toss all of these out, because I love Philodendron gigas, but I also don't think I want to have like this much plant, you know? So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm going to make all of these wet sticks. I'm gonna remove the leaves so that, you know, I mean, the leaves just aren't anything that special because they're all very flawed. And that way I can find another little to-go container, and it saves space because I don't have the leaves to worry about. I just have to put the sticks in there and see what happens. And then, you know, I can give away wet sticks or, you know, little tiny rooted plants to friends or to whomever. One of the local libraries, this is my favorite thing, one of the local libraries has like a little section where you can give away plants, or it's like a take a plant, leave a plant. I usually just leave plants, and this would be a great thing to just leave, you know, how many do I have? Let's see, once I'm done, I'll count them all up. That's 11 potential plants. They're little tiny wet sticks. I will try to root them up and get them to be, you know, sprouted. Maybe I'll even put them into tiny pots or something. And then I will bring them to that library and give them away, because why not? I think that's a good solution, because then I'm putting more Philodendron gigas out into the world, and they're also out of my house because I do not need all of them. And I don't really like fussing with like Facebook Marketplace or with shipping plants. Like I just can't be bothered, but this is a much easier way for me to share my love of plants without burning myself out. Okay, so fun. Okay, and with that, that's all I really have time for. I'm honestly shocked at how quickly an hour passed by. But yeah, I got 2 big tasks that I've been procrastinating off my plate. And that's great. This is my encouragement to you. If you've got a few plant chores that you've been putting off, just do it. Just do it. Rip off the Band-Aid. You don't even need to save them up to do a bunch at once. I mean, if you want to do that, you can. But it's kind of nice to just find a little pocket of time in your day to get it done. So my camera battery is about to die, so I must say farewell. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. All those things are super helpful for my channel, and I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye.